Please take my body. I just need the money to save my mother. The monsoon rain battered the glass facade of Seoul National Medical Center like angry fists demanding entry. Each droplet that streaked down the windows mirrored the tears threatening to spill from Maya Johnson's eyes. She sat rigid in the hospital's waiting area, her hands clasped so tightly her knuckles had gone pale. The sterile smell of antiseptic mixed with fear hung heavy in the air around her. Above her head, fluorescent tubes hummed their monotonous song, casting everything in a clinical white glow that made the walls feel like they were pressing inward. 3 floors up, her mother lay dying. Patricia Johnson, once a vibrant literature professor back in Lagos, now reduced to a frail shadow fighting stage 4 cancer that had metastasized with terrifying speed. The doctors had explained it in their careful, measured tones, using words like aggressive and advanced in limited time. But Maya had heard only one thing clearly. Her mother was running out of chances. Maya had always been the one who solved problems. At 23, she'd earned a full scholarship to study at Yonsei University, one of Korea's most prestigious institutions. She juggled part-time work at coffee shops and convenience stores, wiring money home whenever she could, maintaining perfect grades despite exhaustion that lived in her bones. Nothing had prepared her for Dr. Kim's office this morning, for the conversation that shattered what remained of her carefully constructed life. "Miss Johnson, we need to discuss your mother's situation urgently." Dr. Kim had spoken with professional detachment, though his eyes held something approaching sympathy. "The experimental treatment protocol we've identified offers genuine hope, combining next-generation immunotherapy with targeted radiation. But I must be frank about the financial reality. 50 million won, approximately $42,000. Without payment by tomorrow morning, we'll have no choice but to transition your mother to comfort care only." Welcome back, friends. This is the Prince of Afro-Korean stories, where passion, danger, and impossible romance intersect. Please keep sharing your ideas for future episodes. And kindly like, share, and subscribe, and activate notifications so you never miss our latest content. Maya had stared at him, the number echoing in her skull like a death sentence. Her bank account held $300. Her credit card maxed out months ago to cover her mother's emergency flight from Nigeria, when the hospitals there had essentially given up, was useless. She'd spent the past 6 hours in a desperate frenzy of phone calls that led nowhere. Her father had passed when she was 11, leaving behind love and memories, but no money. Her extended family in Lagos was drowning in their own financial struggles. The Scholarship Foundation had strict policies against emergency loans, their sympathy genuine, but their hands tied by regulations. Every bank she contacted took one look at her student status, her lack of collateral, her absent cosigner, and rejected her before she finished explaining. Each closed door felt like another nail in her mother's coffin. Now midnight approached, and Maya found herself doing something that would have been unthinkable just hours ago. Her phone glowed in her trembling hands as she typed search terms that made bile rise in her throat. Quick money soul, emergency cash options, desperate financial solutions. The results painted a grim picture of loan sharks charging interest rates that would ensure permanent debt, escort agencies hiding behind euphemistic language, and worse things she couldn't bring herself to click on. Then, buried deep in a forum for international students facing crises, she spotted a post that made her breath catch. Confidential arrangement for university women in financial emergency. Single transaction, substantial compensation, absolute discretion. Contact for details. The phone number listed had a Korean country code. Maya stared at those digits for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. She understood what this was, had no illusions about what responding might mean. But when she lifted her gaze to the ceiling, thinking of her mother fighting for each painful breath just above her, her thumb moved almost of its own accord. A woman's voice answered on the first ring, crisp and businesslike. "You're calling regarding the arrangement?" "Yes." Maya's voice came out barely louder than a whisper. "Age verification required. You're over 21, 23. You'll need valid identification and recent medical clearance. The compensation is 50 million won, cash, transferred immediately following completion. The client maintains exacting standards. Confidentiality is non-negotiable. Are you prepared to proceed?" Maya squeezed her eyes shut. 50 million won. The exact amount her mother needed. The universe displaying either its cruelest irony or its darkest mercy. She couldn't determine which. I'm prepared, she heard herself say, feeling something essential inside her crack. Tomorrow evening, 8 o'clock. Imperial Tower, Gangnam, penthouse level. Come alone with your documents. A vehicle will collect you from your specified location. The call disconnected. Maya sat motionless in that waiting room while rain continued its assault on the windows, finally allowing the tears to come. She wasn't crying from self-pity or shame. There was no space for those luxuries when her mother's survival hung in the balance. She cried because she knew with absolute certainty that after tomorrow night, the Maya Johnson who'd arrived in Seoul 2 years ago with dreams and ambition would cease to exist. The following day passed in a haze. Maya spent most of it at her mother's bedside, holding Patricia's hand, so thin now that Maya could feel every bone. Her mother had been formidable once, filling lecture halls with her passion for African literature, her voice strong and certain. Now she could barely manage to squeeze Maya's fingers. "My beautiful daughter," Patricia had whispered, her voice like dried leaves rustling. "Something's troubling you. I can see it in your eyes." Maya forced brightness into her expression. "Just worried about you, Mama. That's all." "Don't worry so much, child. God provides. He always has. Always will." Maya nodded, unable to speak past the obstruction in her throat. If her mother knew the devil's bargain her daughter was about to make in God's name, it would break her. At 7:30 that evening, Maya stood before the mirror in her cramped studio apartment in Hongdae. She'd chosen a simple navy dress, conservative and presentable. Against the fabric, her dark skin seemed to absorb the light. She'd pulled her natural hair back into a low bun. Looking at her reflection, she thought she resembled someone dressed for a funeral, which seemed appropriate. She was attending the funeral of her innocence. The black sedan arrived with punctual precision. A Mercedes with windows tinted so dark she couldn't see inside. The driver, a middle-aged Korean man in an immaculate suit, opened the door without speaking. The ride through Seoul's neon-drenched streets felt surreal, like watching someone else's life unfold on a screen. The city lights blurred past, beautiful and indifferent. Imperial Tower dominated the Gangnam skyline like a monument to wealth and power. The structure was all gleaming glass and polished steel, reflecting the city's lights in a dizzying display. Maya had walked past this building countless times, never imagining she'd pass through its gold-accented entrance, certainly not for this reason. The driver guided her through a private entrance away from the main lobby's bustle. They entered a private elevator requiring a key card for access. The ascent felt interminable, Maya's stomach dropping with each floor they climbed. When the doors finally slid open, she stepped into a space that stole her breath. The penthouse sprawled before her, decorated with minimalist elegance. Massive windows offered a panoramic view of Seoul's glittering nightscape. Marble floors reflected subtle lighting, original artwork adorned the walls, pieces Maya recognized from an art history class. Paintings worth more than most people earned in a lifetime. Standing by the window with his back to her stood a man. He turned slowly, and Maya's first impression was that he looked carved from stone. He was tall, easily 6 feet, with features that belonged on fashion magazine covers. Sharp jawline, high cheekbones, eyes so intensely dark they seemed to draw in light. His black hair was styled with casual perfection, and his tailored charcoal suit probably cost more than her entire year's expenses. He appeared to be in his early 30s, moving with controlled grace that suggested danger beneath the polished surface. Maya Johnson. His voice was deep, his English flawless with just a trace of accent. "You're even more striking than your photograph suggested." Maya hadn't provided a photograph. The realization sent ice down her spine. "Thank you for coming." The man moved closer. "I understand this isn't easy. May I offer you something to drink?" "No, thank you." Maya's voice emerged steadier than she felt. The man smiled, though the expression didn't warm his eyes. "Nervous, I see." Terrified, Maya admitted. There seemed no point in pretending otherwise. "Good. Fear indicates you comprehend the gravity of this moment." He gestured toward the leather sofa. "Please sit. We should talk first." Maya sat, spine straight, hands folded in her lap. The man settled into the chair across from her, crossing his legs with elegant ease. On the coffee table between them sat a black briefcase. "The money," he said, tapping the briefcase with one finger. 50 million won as promised. All cash, untraceable, sufficient to save your mother and sustain you for several months beyond. "How do you know about my mother?" Maya asked, though she suspected she already knew. "I make it my business to know everything about people I conduct business with. Born in Lagos, scholarship to Yonsei. Your father's death when you were 11. Your mother's diagnosis 3 months ago. Your desperate attempts to secure funding yesterday." He leaned forward, his dark gaze locking onto hers. "I am thorough, Miss Johnson. Who are you? Someone with resources and particular tastes." He spoke smoothly. "I run legitimate enterprises in Seoul, real estate, entertainment, hospitality. But I also operate where legal boundaries are more flexible. The Shadow Syndicate, my organization, controls significant portions of Seoul's underground economy. I tell you this not to frighten you, but so you understand that discretion isn't optional. It's survival." Maya's hands clenched in her lap. "I understand." "Do you?" He stood, walking to the expansive windows. "Once this transaction concludes, Miss Johnson, you'll be connected to me, not just in memory, but in reality. The money I give you tonight creates a bond, whether you acknowledge it or not." "I'm here to save my mother," Maya said firmly. "Nothing beyond that." He turned, and for a moment something flickered in his expression. Perhaps respect. "Your loyalty is admirable. It's precisely why I selected you. Women like you, women who sacrifice everything for family, possess a strength that cannot be purchased." He returned to stand before her. "The arrangement is straightforward. Tonight you provide what I've paid for. Tomorrow you leave with sufficient money to save your mother and reconstruct your life. No strings, no obligations beyond tonight." But Maya heard the lie beneath his words, saw it in the possessive way his eyes traced her features. This man didn't make transactions without strings. She simply couldn't see them yet. "I need a moment." Maya stood abruptly. "The bathroom?" He gestured down a hallway. "Second door on the right." In the bathroom, all gleaming marble and gold fixtures, Maya splashed cold water on her face and confronted her reflection. The young woman staring back seemed like a stranger. 23 years old, about to sell the one thing she'd always believed should be given freely, from love. But wasn't love itself sacrifice? She loved her mother more than her dignity, more than her body. That had to mean something. She dried her face, straightened her dress, and returned to the main room. He was pouring himself whiskey, the amber liquid catching the light. "Ready?" Maya nodded. Words had abandoned her. He opened the briefcase, displaying neatly stacked bills. "Count it if you wish." "I trust you," Maya said, though she didn't. But what alternative existed? He closed the briefcase and set it aside. He approached slowly, giving her every opportunity to flee. Maya held her ground despite her hammering heart. When he reached her, he raised one hand to her face, fingers surprisingly gentle against her cheek. "You're trembling." "I'm scared," Maya admitted again. "Don't be. I'm not a monster, Miss Johnson. I won't hurt you." His thumb traced her lower lip. "But I will claim this moment. I will possess the memory of this night. And whether you realize it or not, part of you will belong to me forever." Then he kissed her, and Maya's world tilted. His lips were demanding, claiming her mouth with practiced expertise that left her breathless. She didn't kiss him back, couldn't bring herself to participate in her own transaction, but he seemed not to need her cooperation. He was taking what he'd purchased, and something in his movements felt almost ritualistic, as if this transcended physical desire. When he pulled away, his eyes had darkened. The bedroom is through there. What happened in that bedroom would haunt Maya for the rest of her life. Not because he was cruel. He was surprisingly patient, almost reverent as he undressed her, as he explored her body with hands that knew exactly what they were doing. But the pain was real, both physical and emotional. She cried silently as he took her virginity, as he murmured words in Korean she couldn't comprehend against her skin, as he claimed her body with the same possessive certainty he applied to everything in his life. When it ended, Maya lay in the massive bed staring at the ceiling, feeling hollow. He had disappeared into the bathroom. She heard water running. Mechanically, she rose, dressed, her body aching in unfamiliar ways. He emerged wearing black slacks and a white shirt, looking as composed as if they'd just concluded a business meeting. He handed her the briefcase. The money, as promised. Maya took it with numb hands. My driver will take you wherever you need to go. The hospital, I presume. She nodded. Miss Johnson? He caught her wrist gently before she could leave. What happened tonight doesn't define you. You did what necessity demanded to save someone you love. There's no shame in that. But his words felt empty. There was shame in it, deep and burning, shame she knew would never fully fade. Thank you, she whispered, without meaning it. He released her wrist but held her gaze. We'll see each other again. No, Maya said firmly. This was one night. That was the arrangement. He smiled that cold smile. We'll see. The ride through Seoul's streets was a blur. Maya clutched the briefcase to her chest like a life preserver. When the car stopped at the hospital entrance, dawn was breaking over the city, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. A beautiful morning for such an ugly transaction. Dr. Kim was making early rounds when Maya found him. She opened the briefcase in his office, watching his eyes widen at the cash inside. This covers everything, she asked. Yes, he said, clearly trying not to question where a student had acquired this much cash overnight. We can begin the new protocol immediately. Then begin it, Maya said. Save my mother. The following 2 weeks passed in an exhausted blur. Maya spent every available moment at the hospital, watching as the new treatment began working small miracles. Her mother's color improved. She could eat without nausea. She smiled more. The cancer wasn't gone. Dr. Kim was careful to manage expectations, but it was retreating, offering hope where before there had been only resignation. Maya told her mother that a wealthy university friend had loaned the money, a lie that came easier than expected. Patricia was too relieved to question deeply, too focused on fighting her way back to health. But Maya couldn't forget that night. It lived in her body, in her dreams, in the mirror every morning when she showered and saw the faint marks his hands had left on her hips. She felt changed in ways she couldn't articulate, as if she'd left something essential in that penthouse and returned only with a hollowed shell. She tried returning to normalcy. Classes, studying, sitting with her mother, but normalcy felt like a costume that no longer fit. Then the gifts started arriving. The first was white roses delivered to her apartment with no card. Maya discarded them, disturbed. The second was the hospital bill marked paid in full for the next 3 months. The third was an envelope of cash left at her doorstep. 20 million won. She hadn't requested it, didn't want it, but the message was clear. He wasn't done with her. It was a Thursday evening, 3 weeks after that night, when Maya saw him again. She was leaving the hospital after visiting her mother, when a familiar black Mercedes pulled up. The window lowered, and there he was. Get in. No, Maya replied, her heart racing. I'm not asking, Miss Johnson. Get in the car, or I'll create a scene, and I promise you won't appreciate the consequences. There was no threat in his voice, just calm certainty. Maya glanced around at passers-by near the hospital entrance, then reluctantly opened the door. The interior smelled of expensive leather and his cologne. He sat beside her in the back seat. Too close, his presence overwhelming in the confined space. You've been avoiding me, he said as the car merged into traffic. We had an arrangement, one night. It's over. Nothing's over until I say it is. He turned to face her fully. Do you know what I've been doing these past 3 weeks, Miss Johnson? Thinking about you. Dreaming about you. That night was supposed to be sufficient. It never is, but I convinced myself it would be. I was wrong. I don't care what you want, Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. I kept my end of the bargain. You need to keep yours and leave me alone. His laugh was soft, almost sad. Leave you alone? You're the most compelling thing that's happened to me in 5 years. Do you believe I can simply forget you? You have to. No, he said simply. I don't. The car was heading toward Gangnam, toward Seoul's glittering heart. Maya realized with growing dread where they were going. Take me back to the hospital, she demanded. Soon, he promised. First, we're having dinner. I don't want dinner with you. Then you'll sit and watch me eat, he said, unbothered by her refusal. Either way, we're going to talk. The car stopped before Crimson, one of Seoul's most exclusive restaurants. Maya had read about it. minimum spending of 2,000,000 per person, reservation list months long, frequented by celebrities and business magnates. The kind of place she'd never imagined entering. He exited and held the door for her. She had two choices: make a scene on the street or follow him inside. Trapped, she chose the latter. Inside, Crimson was breathtaking. Deep red walls, intimate lighting, tables spaced far enough apart to ensure privacy. A host bowed deeply to him and led them to a private room in the back, a space with a single table and a window overlooking Seoul's nighttime skyline. "Your usual room, Mr. Kang," the host said, before disappearing. They sat across from each other, and Maya felt trapped in a twisted echo of that first night. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. He poured water into her glass, then his. "Because I want to." "That's not a reason. It's the only reason that matters in my world," he countered. "I want something. I take it. I wanted you that night. I purchased you. I want you now. So here you are." "I'm not a possession," Maya said through gritted teeth. "Aren't you?" He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "I paid for you, Miss Johnson. That makes you mine. You paid for one night, and that night created a connection between us. Whether you like it or not, you belong to me now." Maya stood abruptly. "I'm leaving." "Sit down," he said, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. "Make me." He stood as well, moving around the table with predatory grace. "You don't want to challenge me. I've been patient, gentle even, but my patience has limits. What are you going to do? Hurt me? Force me? Never," he said. And she believed him. "But there are other ways to ensure compliance. Your mother's treatment, for instance. Very expensive. It would be unfortunate if suddenly the hospital couldn't accommodate her anymore." Maya felt ice flood her veins. "You wouldn't. I would do whatever necessary to keep you close," he said calmly. "That's what you need to understand. This isn't a game to me. This isn't some wealthy man's passing fancy. I want you, Miss Johnson, and I protect what's mine." "By threatening my dying mother," Maya's voice shook with rage. "By making you realize you have no good options except accepting reality," he corrected. "I can make your life very comfortable, Maya. Safe, easy. Or I can make it impossible. The choice is yours." Maya sank back into her chair, defeated. "Why me? Why are you doing this to me?" He returned to his seat, his expression softening slightly. "Because you're real. Do you know how rare that is in my world? Everyone wants something from me. Everyone lies, manipulates, performs. But you, that night, you were terrified and brave and honest. You sacrificed everything for someone you love. That kind of loyalty, that kind of strength. It's intoxicating." "I'm not strong," Maya whispered. "I'm broken." "You're the strongest person I've ever encountered," he said, with unsettling certainty. "And you're mine now. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be." A waiter brought food Maya hadn't ordered. She picked at it mechanically while he ate with refined efficiency, explaining his terms as if negotiating a business contract. "You'll continue your studies," he said. "I'll cover all expenses. Your mother will receive the finest care available at no cost to you. You'll move to a better apartment. The one you're in now is barely adequate, and in return, you'll see me when I call. You'll belong to me." "What does that mean?" Maya asked. "Belong to you? It means you're mine to protect, mine to care for, mine to touch when I want." He said it matter-of-factly, as if discussing the weather. "I'm not asking you to love me, Maya. I'm not even asking you to like me. I'm simply telling you how things are going to be." "And if I refuse?" "You won't," he said with maddening confidence, "because refusing me means watching your mother die. And you've already proven you'll do anything to save her." He was right, and they both knew it. Maya had already sold herself once to save her mother. What was selling herself again and again? "I hate you," she said quietly. "I know," he replied without offense. "But hate is better than indifference. At least you feel something." The following weeks fell into a disturbing pattern. He would summon her, sometimes to dinner, sometimes to his penthouse, sometimes just to sit in his car while he conducted business on the phone. He never forced himself on her again physically, which somehow made it worse. He was waiting for something, she realized, waiting for her to break, to accept, to come to him willingly. Maya's mother continued improving, the treatments working better than Dr. Kim had hoped. Patricia was scheduled to be discharged within the month, well enough to return to a rented apartment where she could continue recovery. "You look troubled, my daughter," her mother said one afternoon. They were sitting in the hospital garden, enjoying the spring sunshine. "Just tired, Mama," Maya lied. "You've been so distant lately." Ever since, Patricia trailed off, studying her daughter's face. "Since you got that money, Maya, where did it really come from?" "I told you, a friend loaned it to me." "What kind of friend has millions of one to loan?" Patricia pressed gently. "Maya, please tell me the truth. I'd rather die knowing than live, wondering what price you paid for my life." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, please don't ask me that. Oh, my baby girl." Patricia reached for Maya's hand, her grip surprisingly strong. "What did you do?" "What I had to," Maya whispered. "What anyone would do for someone they love." Patricia pulled Maya into her arms, and they both cried in that garden. Mother and daughter bound by love and the terrible sacrifices it demanded. That evening, when Maya returned to her apartment, he was waiting inside. "How did you get in?" she demanded, though she already knew. There was nowhere in Seoul this man couldn't reach. "We need to talk," he said, ignoring her question. He was standing by her window, looking out at the modest view of Hongdae's streets. "We have nothing to talk about. There's a problem," he continued. "The Shadow Syndicate has enemies, rival organizations, ambitious underlings, people who want what I have. Recently, one of these groups learned about you." Maya's blood ran cold. "What?" He turned to face her. "They know you're important to me, which makes you a target." "Important to you?" Maya laughed bitterly. "I'm your prisoner. You're mine," he corrected. "There's a difference. And because you're mine, you're in danger." "Then let me go. Tell everyone you're done with me." "It doesn't work that way," he said, approaching her. "Once you're marked as mine, you're always in danger. The only solution is protection. I don't want your protection." "Too bad," he said flatly. "Starting tomorrow, you'll have security. 2 of my men will accompany you everywhere. You'll check in with me twice daily, and you'll move to a secure location." "Absolutely not," Maya said. "I'm not giving up my entire life because you decided to obsess over me." "Miss Johnson," his voice turned sharp. "This isn't negotiable. These people don't kidnap for ransom. They kidnap to send messages. They'll hurt you in ways that will make what we shared look like tenderness. They'll record it, send it to me, and laugh while you scream." The graphic brutality of his words made Maya stumble backward. "You're trying to scare me. I'm trying to make you understand reality," he said. "You think I'm the monster. I'm nothing compared to what's out there. At least I value you. They see you as meat, as a tool to break me. Why should I believe anything you say?" He pulled out his phone and showed her a photograph. It was grainy, clearly taken from a distance, but unmistakable. It showed Maya leaving the hospital, and someone had drawn a red X over her face. "They sent this to me 3 days ago," he said quietly, along with a message. "Pretty girl. Shame if something happened to her." Maya felt her legs give out. She sank onto her small couch, her head spinning. He knelt before her, his hands on her knees, his dark eyes intense. "I know you hate me. I know you think I'm ruining your life, but I will not let them hurt you. I will burn Seoul to the ground before I let anyone touch what's mine." "I don't want this," Maya whispered. "I just wanted to save my mother and live my life." "I know," he said, and for once she heard genuine regret in his voice. "But that option ended the moment you walked into Imperial Tower. You're in my world now, Maya, and in my world, there's only one way to stay safe. Stay close to me." The next morning, 2 men in dark suits appeared outside Maya's apartment, his security. They followed her to class, sat in their car while she studied at the library, trailed her to the hospital. Maya felt like she was suffocating, her freedom shrinking by the hour. A week later, the situation escalated. Maya was walking from campus to the subway station when a van screeched to a halt beside her. The side door flew open and hands reached out, grabbing her arms. She screamed, struggling, but there were too many of them. 3 men in masks dragging her toward the van. Then gunshots. His security guards opened fire, not at the men, but at the van's tires. The men dropped Maya and fled, the van speeding away on flattened rubber, scraping against the asphalt. One of the guards immediately made a call while the other checked Maya for injuries. "Miss, are you hurt?" Maya couldn't speak. She was shaking so violently her teeth chattered. Within minutes, another car arrived. He got out, his face a mask of controlled fury. He went straight to Maya, pulling her into his arms without asking permission. "You're okay," he murmured against her hair. "You're okay. I've got you." Maya clung to him despite herself, too shocked to maintain her hatred. In that moment, he wasn't her captor. He was safety, strength, the only solid thing in a world that had just tried to swallow her whole. "Take her to Blackstone Estate," he ordered his men. "I'll follow." Blackstone Estate was located in the hills outside Seoul, accessible only by a private road, guarded by security checkpoints. The mansion was modern and fortress-like, all concrete and glass, surrounded by high walls and surveillance cameras. Beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Inside, Maya was taken to a bedroom suite larger than her entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked a garden, but she noticed they were bulletproof. Every luxury imaginable was provided, but it was still a cage. He appeared an hour later. He'd changed into casual clothes, black jeans, and a gray sweater that made him look younger, less intimidating. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Scared," Maya admitted. "Angry, trapped." "All reasonable responses," he said, sitting in the chair across from where she sat on the bed. "I'm sorry, Maya. I tried to prevent this. By dragging me deeper into your world? By trying to keep you hidden," he corrected. "But my enemies are thorough. They've been watching me for months, waiting for a weakness. You're that weakness." "Then push me away," Maya said desperately. "Make them think you don't care about me anymore." "I can't," he said simply. "It's too late. They've seen how I react to threats against you. They know." He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. "And even if I could convince them, Maya, I wouldn't. Because it would be a lie. I do care about you. More than I should. More than is wise. More than I've cared about anything in a very long time." "You don't care about me," Maya said bitterly. "You care about owning me." "Maybe that's the only way I know how to care," he replied. "My father was a loan shark who beat my mother. I joined the Shadow Syndicate when I was 15, killed my first man at 17, took control at 25 by being more ruthless than anyone else. I don't know how to be soft, Maya. I don't know how to want something without taking it. But what I feel for you, it's real. It's possessive and probably unhealthy, but it's real." Maya looked at him, really looked, and saw something beneath the cold exterior. Pain, maybe. Loneliness. The scars of a man who'd survived by becoming a monster and forgotten how to be anything else. "I didn't ask for this," she said quietly. "I know," he said, "but here we are." They sat in silence for a long moment, the weight of their impossible situation settling around them. "What happens now?" Maya finally asked. Now he stood. "You stay here where it's safe. Your mother will be moved to a private facility with round-the-clock care. You'll continue your studies remotely, and I'll handle the people who tried to take you today." "Handle them how?" His smile was cold. "You don't want to know." He moved toward the door, then paused. "Maya, I know you hate me, but I need you to understand something. In my world, love and violence are the same language. The fact that I'm willing to kill for you, that's as close to love as I can get." Then he left, leaving Maya alone in her golden cage, wondering how her life had spiraled so completely out of control. Days bled into weeks at Blackstone Estate. Maya's mother was indeed moved to a luxury recovery facility, given every comfort and treatment available. Patricia believed her daughter was staying with wealthy friends who were helping during this difficult time. Another lie to add to the mountain Maya was building. Maya attended university classes via video conference. Her professors were told she was dealing with a family emergency and needed accommodation. No one questioned it, not when significant donations to the university appeared from an anonymous benefactor. He visited every evening. Sometimes they had dinner together in silence. Sometimes he worked on his laptop while she read. Sometimes they just sat in the same room, existing in each other's orbit. It was strange, surreal domesticity that felt more like a Stockholm Syndrome experiment than a relationship. But Maya couldn't deny that her feelings were evolving in complicated ways. She still resented him, still felt trapped, still mourned the life she'd lost. But she also felt safe for the first time since her mother's diagnosis. And when he looked at her with those dark, intense eyes, she felt something she didn't want to name, something that frightened her more than his threats ever had. One night, a month after the kidnapping attempt, he came to her room later than usual. It was past midnight, and Maya was reading in bed when he knocked. "Can I come in?" he asked. And the fact that he asked surprised her. "It's your house," Maya pointed out. He entered but didn't approach the bed. Instead, he stood by the window, looking out at the Seoul skyline visible in the distance. "I found the men who tried to take you," he said quietly. Maya set down her book. "What did you do to them?" "What needed to be done," he replied. "They won't be hurting anyone again." Maya knew she should feel horror, disgust. Instead, she felt a twisted sense of satisfaction. Those men had tried to kidnap her, to use her as a weapon against him. Whatever he'd done to them, they'd earned it. "Thank you," she said, and the words felt wrong and right simultaneously. He turned to look at her, surprise flickering across his face. "You're thanking me for murdering people?" "I'm thanking you for protecting me," Maya corrected. "Even though I never asked for your protection, even though this is all your fault. I'm still thanking you because," she trailed off, unsure how to finish. "Because you're starting to understand," he finished for her. He crossed the room, sitting on the edge of her bed. "You're starting to see that in this world, morality is a luxury. Survival is what matters." "I don't want to become like you," Maya whispered. "You won't," he assured her. "You'll always have that light inside you, that goodness. It's what drew me to you in the first place." His hand reached out, cupping her face with surprising gentleness. "You make me want to be better, Maya, even though I know I never will be." Maya should pull away. She knew that, but she didn't. Instead, she leaned into his touch, starving for human warmth after weeks of isolation. "I hate that I don't hate you anymore," she admitted. "I know," he said. "But hate and desire are closer than people think. Both consume you. Both refuse to let go." Then he kissed her, and this time Maya kissed him back. Not because she had to, not because she was afraid, but because some broken part of her wanted to. Wanted him, this dangerous, violent, impossibly complicated man who'd ruined her life and protected it in equal measure. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. "Tell me to leave," he said hoarsely. "Tell me you don't want this, and I'll walk away right now." Maya knew she should say the words, reclaim some scrap of control over her life, but she'd been so alone, so scared, carrying so many secrets and lies. And he was the only person who knew all of her, the worst of her, and still looked at her like she was something precious. "Stay," she whispered instead, and sealed her fate. What happened that night was nothing like their first encounter. This time there was no transaction, no pain, no fear. Just two broken people finding solace in each other, however twisted and unhealthy that solace might be. He was gentle in ways Maya hadn't known he could be, worshipping her body like she was sacred instead of purchased. And Maya let herself feel, let herself want, let herself fall into the darkness with him. Afterward, they lay tangled together in the massive bed, Seoul's skyline glittering beyond the windows like a field of fallen stars. "This changes things," he said quietly, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. "Does it?" Maya asked. "It means you're choosing this, choosing me, not because you have to, but because you want to." Maya closed her eyes. Was she choosing him, or had she simply given up fighting? She didn't know anymore. The lines had blurred beyond recognition. "I don't know what I want anymore," she admitted. "That's okay," he replied. "You have time to figure it out." But they both knew that was a lie. Time was the one thing Maya Johnson no longer had. She'd traded it away that first night at Imperial Tower, along with her innocence and her freedom. Now she belonged to him, body, soul, and whatever broken pieces remained of her heart. As she drifted off to sleep in his arms, Maya wondered if her mother had been right after all. God had provided. He just sent the devil to do his work. The next morning, Maya woke to find him already dressed for the day, sitting at the desk in her room, working on his laptop. Sunlight streamed through the windows, making the previous night feel like a dream or a nightmare she couldn't escape. "Your mother is being discharged next week," he said without looking up. "I've arranged for an apartment in Gangnam, close to the recovery facility. 24-hour nursing care, everything she'll need. Thank you, Maya said automatically, then hated herself for it. She was thanking him for benefits she'd never have needed if not for him in the first place. He finally looked at her, his dark eyes unreadable. I have business to attend to today. I'll be back tonight. Don't leave the estate. Where would I go? Maya asked bitterly. Exactly, he replied, closing his laptop. He buttoned his suit jacket, and became once again the cold, controlled syndicate boss who ruled Seoul's underworld. The gentle lover from last night might as well have been a different person. At the door, he paused. Maya, last night wasn't a mistake. Not to me. Then he was gone, leaving Maya alone with her conflicted feelings and the lingering scent of his cologne on her sheets. The day dragged endlessly. Maya tried to focus on her coursework, but her mind kept wandering. She thought about her mother, recovering in blissful ignorance of the price her daughter had paid. She thought about her life in Lagos, the girl she used to be who dreamed of international business success and making her parents proud. That girl seemed like a stranger now. She thought about him, and that was the most confusing thought of all. Evening came, bringing with it a storm. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and rain began to hammer against the windows, just like that first night at the hospital when this nightmare began. Maya stood at the window watching lightning illuminate Seoul's skyline when her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, she answered cautiously. Heavy breathing on the other end, then a voice distorted by some electronic device. Maya Johnson. The Nigerian warming Kang Jin-woo's bed. Maya's blood turned to ice. We know you're at Blackstone Estate, the voice continued. We know about your mother at Yonsei Medical Center. We know everything, little bird. And soon we'll come for you. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. And when we do, Kang Jin-woo will watch you die slowly, screaming his name, begging him to save you. And he'll be powerless to stop it. The line went dead. Maya's phone slipped from her trembling fingers. She wanted to call him, to tell him about the threat, but pride stopped her. Wasn't this exactly what he wanted? For her to be so scared she'd cling to him? But as thunder cracked overhead and the storm intensified, Maya realized something fundamental. She was already clinging to him. Had been since that night at Imperial Tower. Her hatred, her resentment, even her reluctant desire. It was all just different ways of being bound to Kang Jin-woo. When he returned late that night, soaked from the rain, Maya was still standing at the window. Maya. His voice was immediately concerned. What's wrong? She turned to face him, tears streaming down her face. They called. The people who want to kill you. They called and threatened me and my mother. He crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms. I'm sorry, he murmured into her hair. I'm so sorry. I'll increase security. I'll move your mother somewhere even safer. Stop, Maya said, pulling back to look at him. Just stop. You can't protect me from everything. You can't control the entire world, Jin-woo. I can try, he said fiercely. For you, I'll try. And looking into his eyes, seeing the genuine fear there, fear for her, not of losing his possession, but of her being hurt, Maya finally understood the terrible truth. Kang Jin-woo loved her. In his broken, violent, possessive way, he loved her. And God help her, she was starting to love him back. I don't want to feel this way, she whispered. Neither do I, he replied. But here we are. Here they were indeed, trapped together in a story neither had written, but both would have to live. Maya Johnson, who came to Seoul to study and build a future, now bound to a man who lived in shadows. Kang Jin-woo, who'd thought buying one night with a desperate girl would satisfy his curiosity, now consumed by feelings he'd spent years trying to kill. Outside, the storm raged on, washing the city clean while leaving their souls stained. Inside Blackstone Estate, 2 broken people held each other and pretended they had any control over where this dangerous road would lead. Because love, or whatever dark thing existed between them, didn't care about morality or choices. It simply was. Brutal and beautiful and inescapable as the rain. And Maya knew with absolute certainty that this was only the beginning. The threats would come again. The violence would escalate. Her mother would eventually learn the truth. And somewhere in Seoul's glittering, merciless heart, decisions would be made that would determine whether she and Jin-woo survived this bond or were destroyed by it. But tonight, in the eye of the storm, they had this moment. this impossible, complicated, doomed moment of connection. And for now, it would have to be enough. The rain continued to fall as thunder crashed one final time, and the story of Maya Johnson and Kang Jin-woo paused, not ended, merely waiting for the next chapter to begin. Because in Seoul's underworld, nothing ever truly ends. It only transforms. And Maya had been transformed beyond recognition. From an innocent student to the obsession of the Shadow Syndicate's most dangerous man. A transformation she'd chosen out of love, accepted out of necessity, and would have to survive however she could. The question wasn't whether she'd escape Kang Jin-woo. The question was whether she still wanted to. And the answer, whispered in the darkness of Blackstone Estate as rain continued to fall, was far more complicated than she'd ever imagined. We've reached the conclusion of our compelling African-Korean story. If you want to see what happens next in Maya and Jin-woo's dangerous love story, let me know your thoughts. Drop a comment below telling me what you think Maya should do. Should she try to escape, or has she fallen too deep? If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories that prove love can heal the deepest wounds. Share this with someone who needs to believe in second chances. Your support means everything to me.